Hi, we're the Smiths, a homeschooling family that loves to travel every chance we get, and we're currently on our most ambitious adventure yet, 5 weeks in Southern Europe. We're documenting our experiences and learning through videos for friends and family to follow along. After more than a week in France, we are on our way to Italy. We stayed in La Spezia for just one night while we explored Cinque Terre. We had one night that we walked around La Spezia, though. The boys were extra energetic and rowdy that day, so first thing on the agenda was a park and a playground. It's actually been really hard to find parks and playgrounds in the big cities here in Europe. I've been kind of surprised. So after playing for a while, we went to Italy's Navy Museum. And I honestly think that this was the boys' favorite museum of all.
At the museum, there are lots of big guns. One, the bullet got stuck through it, backfired. There's lots of torpedoes with a big cauldron of exploding gas inside, and then propellers on the back. So then they would just launch it in the ships. And there's lots of miniature ships, like army ones, and then old-fashioned ones with lots of tiny ropes and tiny sails, and tiny cannons.
My boys all really liked the big guns, they loved the miniature ships, and they could have spent a long time in that museum. There were orange trees lining the streets all over La Spezia, and my boys were convinced that these oranges would be delicious. But it turns out that trees growing oranges in the city grow really sour oranges, so they ended up just being for bowling while we waited for our train. The next day, we spent exploring Cinque Terre. Unfortunately, the rain and bad luck followed us from France because it rained hard enough the days before we came that most of the trails were closed. Now, I didn't know anything about Cinque Terre before coming, so for anyone that's like me, here is some context. Cinque Terre is a group of villages along the western coast of Italy. They date back to the 13th century, about when native tribes moved to the coast and began building dry stone walls on the coastal hills for houses and vineyards and orchards. And dry stone walls just means that they didn't use any bonding agents or like cement or mortar, that they are just rocks put on top of rocks with little rocks in between. And their wine that they make is famous all over Europe. These villages also had watchtowers and were really successful at keeping pirates from attacking and looting the rest of the Liguria area. So you can hike these trails, the trails that connect these villages, as well as century-old trails that take you into the terraces where they grow grapes and olive trees. With these trails being closed, most of our plans were destroyed. Also, my oldest had an infected toe, so it was painful for him to walk. So everything was against us, and so we just took a little hike as far as we could and came back and ate lots of authentic homemade food and watched the waves crash against the rocks. For some reason, my boys just love watching waves crash against rocks. And while we were here, we discovered a unique type of focaccia. It is Ligurian focaccia, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's made a little bit differently from regular focaccia, and it is so good. And we got some every chance we could get, as well as getting sandwiches made with it, eating it for breakfast. It was delicious. So if you're in that area, get some Ligurian focaccia. I wish that we had more time here and less time in Marseille. I just love this area so much. It was so authentic, cozy, natural. And if you know me, you know I love the outdoors and nature. So this was really my thing. I'm already planning a trip back with just me and Aaron so we can hike between each village. Now we are on to our next destination in Italy. Stay tuned for the next video to see where we go.